Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Introducing my name Muhammad Hamdalah Bagus Abdillah with study number 220210301034 from class A. Here I will explain about 10 common job interview questions and how to answer it. Go straight to the first question. Can you tell us about yourself and briefly describe your background? The interviewer, at the time of asking these questions, he will appreciate the story from you. You have to make an interesting narrative. The narrative is sure to start with something that can attract attention. The middle part becomes a support from the initial part, so it is impressed, not tough. Conclusion in the narrative should be able to motivate your success in getting the job. Events relate to the profession you want to can be told in order to attract interest. Educational background can be told, established academic training, industry ambition to become corporate specialization, and work experience collectively to explain that you deserve the position. You can also talk about a complex project or an interesting design you are working on. Next, second question. How did you hear about this position? is interested in explaining about your position and company awareness. Whether you are active, learn role through recruiters or from employee reference, it is necessary to mention someone who recommends you and explain the relationship copied with them. See if you and Rizal have ever worked together or met at a networking event. This will increase credibility if mentioned. Rizal, if as an employee of the company recommends that you work with the company, give a deal reason that you are an ideal partner. Explain to them. 2. If you find what attracts your attention, an uplifting of the values that align with the company can also be delivered with the aim of convincing the recruitment manager that you prefer their company over other options for a particular reason. Next, third question. What type of work environment do you prefer? A thorough observation of organizational and cultural research before interview is essential so that it can be in line with or match your choice. For example, if you find a company's website with an organizational structure that emphasizes collaboration and autonomy, this could be a keyword in answering this question. If the interviewer conveyed information that was not found during the company's research, for example, AI, our culture is formal on the surface. We are actually a relaxed and collaborative community supported by the atmosphere. Repeat your own experience and background that is in line with this description, as your goal is to demonstrate a work ethos that is synchronized with the organizational values. Next, fourth question. How do you deal with stressful situation? Employer experimentally want to know about how you deal with high pressure situations or consciousness to give up under pressure. This is done to ensure that the workers do not fail in the face of everything, because this is a very appreciated thing by HRD. So your prowess in facing challenging situation. This skill should be developed in a way to be recognized and discussed to cope with future pressures. Next, fifth question. Do you prefer to work independently or in team? You should be informed by the research that has already been done on the company and the work you are aiming for. But you should also be exploring in the team aspect in the working environment. Many positions require that you work in a group. Sometimes some positions also require you to work individually. If you face or highlighted these questions, it can be revealing the best characteristic of your own person that fit the conditions of work. These questions can also make you interested to answer by highlighting the advantage and disadvantage of the situation. Next, sixth question. When you are balancing multiple projects, how do you keep yourself organized? Employers are interested in learning how you manage your time and effort to be effective and efficient. They want to see whether you have a method or of your own for keeping on top of the job outside of the company's timetables and workflow plans. Make sure to underline that you respect and adhere to deadlines. Talk about a specific time when you kept on course. Talk about the task you were working on, their urgency and significance, and how you manage your time properly. Describe how you stay organized and concentrate on the task at hand. Next, seventh question. What did you do in the last year to improve your knowledge? The pandemic could cause this topic to be raised. Employers are interested in how different people utilize their time. If you didn't spend your time taking class or brushing up on your abilities, you don't need to be afraid to this question. Every encounter we have teaches us something. Next, eighth question. What are your salary expectations? You should be familiar with the pay scale for the position you are seeking for before you enter your first interview. For information about salaries, use sites like Glassdoor, Faceball, or Vault.com. By contacting your community on LinkedIn, you might potentially question expert in the area. Every position has a budget, therefore employers will always check to see whether your goal align with the allocated funds before moving further. Next, ninth question. Are you applying for other jobs? Interviewers want to know if you are serious about this job or if it's simply one of several that you are considering. They only want to know whether you are their first pick. It is best to be honest. Tell them if you are applying for other employment. Unless you have an alternative offer, you do not necessarily need to state where you are applying. However, they could inquire as to the stage of the hiring procedure you are in with other business. If your interviewer inquires, you might also state that you are actively hunting for offers. Next, 10th questions. From your resume, it seems you took a gap year. Would you like to tell us why that was? Some cultures value gap years more than others. Gap years may be associated with a negative connotations in some professions. Inform the interviewer that your gap year contribute to the competent professional you have become, rather than being used an excuse to put off making the move from childhood to maturity. Employers are probably interested in hearing tales about what you did and how your experience prepared you for this career. Depending on where in the globe you are and how frequent these are, give a brief justification for your decisions to take a gap year and then concentrate on how it helped you in the long run. You must respond to each question intelligently and passionately if you want to make a good impression. But it actually helps to practice first. When the competition is fierce, meticulous preparation will enable you to present an air of assurance and control that will help you stand out as the best candidate. Thanks for attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.